Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, unvaccinated mainlanders could be banned from visiting Tasmania in a proposal by the state's travel industry. The embattled sector says it's the only way to safely open up as businesses hang on by a thread.
An industry ravaged by a year and a half of border closures, calling for a path out.
The fact is we need certainty as employers and as an economy.
The Tourism Industry Council of Tasmania using their annual gathering to call for only vaccinated travellers to be allowed into the state.
It's a message about keeping Tasmanian community safe, but also providing an operating environment where we can actually deliver what we do best, and that's a great tourism experience.
The motion passing unanimously at the Peak Bodies board meeting last night. They were also strongly encouraging frontline staff who deal with tourists to get the jab.
We've provided a modest amount to incentivise staff to get vaccinated. Vaccination is absolutely the key to our future in our industry, absolutely.
The Premier, today in attendance, gave a wide-ranging speech.
But I do believe that there is hope on the horizon. Our vaccine strategy, which is the key, is progressing well.
But was silent on the proposal put squarely to him.
Well, look, I'm not going to rule anything in or out. The entire time through COVID, we have done what's in the best interest of Tasmania and will continue to do that.
With Tasmania agreeing to the National Cabinet's plan to ease travel restrictions for vaccinated Australians, it seems likely the plan could become reality. Until then, relief comes via more government support.
A rebate scheme where a hospitality venue where you have sit-down food or drinking can get a voucher for around up to $1,500.
Businesses are welcoming the move at a time when every dollar counts.
We're doing a lot of external work with bands, live music, functions, gigs.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's unemployment rate held steady in July, sitting at 4.6%, according to latest figures from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. That's the same as the national average, which is now at its lowest point since 2008. But it's not all good news, with Treasurer Josh Frydenberg reluctant to celebrate.
Today's numbers show the impact that the lockdowns are having, particularly in New South Wales. With a fall in the number of hours worked in the month of July.
The drop in the jobless rate driven by 37,000 people leaving the labour force. 4 people have been arrested during a protest outside the Bennett's Petroleum Depot in Hobart this morning. The Extinction Rebellion group chained their arms inside barrels, calling for an end to the fossil fuel industry.
As the sun rose over Newtown, protesters gathered in droves, uniting for one cause.
We're trying to get the government to transition away from this form of fuel, which we all have to put in our car at the moment. There is no choice but to put petrol, diesel or LPG in our car.
Blockading themselves outside a Hobart Petroleum Depot, members of Extinction Rebellion chaining themselves to barrels in defiance.
We are locked on, and the idea is to delay access to the site for as long as possible.
Their latest public demonstration follows a damning new IPCC report, which rings alarm bells and a code red for humanity if global temperatures continue to rise.
And they have given us a vanishingly small time to really get moving on climate change. And that means we have to move away from fossil fuels.
We've got a climate crisis.
It took police just 10 minutes to arrive, moving demonstrators on, but some refused to budge, resulting in 4 arrests.
Tasmania Police more than happy to assist with protest activity where it's lawful. Where it becomes unlawful or where there is blockage of roadways, then that's where we are required to take action.
They were each charged with failing to comply with the direction of a police officer and will appear in the Hobart Magistrates Court on October 25. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
A Mayfield man has been charged over the robbery of a taxi driver almost a fortnight ago. Police say the taxi driver took the 19-year-old from Mowbray to Invermay, but upon arrival was assaulted and robbed of cash. The man has been remanded in custody and will appear in court next month. Independent MP Meg Webb is demanding the Premier face the public over the proposed changes to gaming regulations in the state. Ms Webb yesterday released documents which she believes shows the rate of tax was decided on before May's state election. She says Peter Gutwin owes voters an explanation.
Answer the question. When were these casino pokies tax rates decided? If it was before the election, it's time for him to fess up.
The government maintains a final decision was made only after they were returned to office. The trip to Mount Wellington is now much safer for Hobart cyclists, with a new bike lane officially open along a stretch of Huon Road.
There's growing numbers of people travelling by bike to work and recreationally, and all of these improvements do make a big difference to the experience, to the safety of getting around by bike.
And fantastic for people driving cars because it provides more space on the road for everyone.
The project was made possible by joint funding through Hobart City Council and the federal government. The RACT says an overhaul is needed of how road safety is taught to school children. With an upper house inquiry on the matter to begin soon, they say the time has come to review how they can educate young people on the dangers faced behind the wheel.
A message for life, today driven into young minds.
Stop, look, listen, think.
Windermere Primary School hosting one of 2 RACT programs designed to educate school children on road safety.
If you don't follow the rules of the road, you might make someone crash. I press the button and then cross when it's a green person.
These important lessons, however, aren't being taught everywhere.
If a school wants us to come along and deliver it, we're very happy to do so within the limits of our resources.
With the budget to be delivered next week and an upper house inquiry into road safety on the way, the insurer is calling for a review of what is being taught. They want to study how effective the current system is and whether a uniform program is needed.
How can we maximise our resources available to get the road safety message out to children?
State growth figures show 12 people aged under 17 have been seriously injured on Tasmanian roads this year, with 1 fatality recorded. The government says it's open to all ideas to help keep children safe.
We've got a number of road safety measures in place around schools, including lowering speed limits, but I'm always willing to work with Minister Ferguson.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
There's sure to be some sledging when grade cricket's great rivals come together for the grandest of catch-ups. For the first time, the Northern Tasmanian Cricket Association is hosting a competition-wide reunion backed by its highest-profile players.
The crowd-pulling combination of David Boone and Richard Bennett would make the NTCA's gate-takings balloon.
Of course, they were only here to see Booney, and if he got out, and that was rare, if he got out, the crowd would walk out with him.
They led a Launceston side in an endless war with Mowbray, the 2 powerhouses of the 80s and 90s. Their biggest battles came on the NTCA ground, the home of Boone's testimonial in his playing twilight.
It's a place that holds very dear to my heart.
Now, former players, coaches and supporters from the entire competition are reuniting for the first time.
Form a bit of a support network for a lot of people that get lost in the system after they finish playing.
The invite extends to former first-grade clubs like Georgetown, Scottsdale and Midlands, and those who played in the days before colour TV, when keen observers circled the gentlemen's game on a Saturday afternoon. The event is ambitious but aims to attract the storytellers of cricket's strongest years in the north.
It was fairly tough cricket, and it was all about success with your mates.
That nurtured young cricketers. It enabled them to learn, play against some fantastic players.
The reunion is pencilled in for October 1 at the Country Club. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News.
Tasmania's Men's Shed Association has come together to discuss the future of the organisation and the need to keep it a male-only space. Those running the men's shed say it gives participants a safe space to talk about issues impacting them.
For Dave Gray, joining his local men's shed transformed his life, helping him manage depression and repurpose his skills as a builder.
It gives me something to look forward to. I mean, you know, life was okay before, but I certainly wasn't enjoying it for quite a number of years, and now I really enjoy my time at the shed.
They make everything from wishing wells to shepherd's crooks. The organisation's president finished a produce display stand for a childcare centre.
And I was kind of impressed at the time that I installed it, that I put a crate in with some onions in, and within a couple of minutes there was a 4-year-old picking onions out of the tray.
Demand for the hands-on escape has never been higher, with new sheds set to open. But at the organisation's annual general meeting today, it reiterated its wish to keep it a space just for men.
These sheds provide a place where men, and especially our older men, tend to talk about things in a different way. They communicate in a different way. If they want to talk about some health issues, personal issues, they can feel uncomfortable when a female might be around.
From making things to making mates, men's sheds are playing a vital role in the community. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
A frustrated Clinton French has teed off at AFL Tasmania over the State League's dicey future. The North Hobart coach slammed the lack of clarity over club funding, which was halved last year when the pandemic hit, as the league itself awaits news on whether it will continue beyond 2023.
So we talk about recruiting or retaining players. What are we actually selling to them when we don't even have clarity ourselves? We players, coaches, support staff, members, everyone involved in our footy clubs deserves so much better than going into a month till the end of this season not knowing what funding we have.
Club funding is around $50,000 a season, down from $110,000.
Good evening. Hobart and Burnie 15 today, Launceston 16 and Devonport 14. Top today was 17 at Eddystone Point and Campania after Fingal dropped to -2 last night. All maximum temperatures above average. St Helens, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Bushy Park all 16. Lowhead, Smithton and the Islands 15 and Strawn 14 degrees. Cloud over the west of the state with a line through Bass Strait near the north coast, and also cloud increased over the east during the day. 2 troughs of low pressure had cloud over Western Australia. Light onshore winds brought cloud to the eastern seaboard. Tomorrow, the low and front near our west coast, also clipping South Australia. The next front is brushing WA as the high moves over the Tasman. North to northeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots before turning northwesterly and increasing to 20 to 30 knots and even up to 40 knots over the west at times, 10 to 20 knots over the lakes. Gale warning for waters between Southeast Cape and Sandy Cape, a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters. Hobart, 16 for Friday and a cloudy one. Huonville the same, 17 the top for Campania. Good to see those temperatures just on the rise a bit. 15 for Launceston, showers moving into the north. Devonport 14 as well as Georgetown. Burnie expecting a high of 13 with a few showers. Strawn 15, 14 the top for Wynyard with a bit of wet weather as well. 15 for St Helens with a shower or two. Swansea cloudy and 16, 15 the high for Port Arthur. On Saturday, showers over the north, west, central and south. Snow briefly to 900 metres. Showers extending statewide on Sunday. Possible thunderstorms over the north and west. More showers into Monday with snow lowering to 600 metres. A few showers forecast for Perth tomorrow. Wet weather for Adelaide and Melbourne, both expecting 16 degrees. Sunny weather and mid-20s for Sydney and Brisbane. Bit of cloud about at the moment, 10 degrees in Hobart, 9 degrees in Launceston, partly cloudy in Devonport and 10 degrees. Louise, I'm feeling a bit lightheaded tonight. I've had one of my very rare haircuts, and by the smell of all the hairspray in here, you've done some work on yours as well.
We can't all be as glamorous as you, Murph. Your hair does look great though, well done. That's all your news for now. I'll be back later on with updates. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Good night.